Alright. What is up, YouTube? It's me, HPJ here. How are you guys doing? Which I hope is well because it's definitely been a good 7 days, hasn't it? Welcome to Monday, July 13th of 2026. It is a beautiful, um, 12:30 in the afternoon here in California. It's probably a different time zone for you, which that's perfectly fine. But welcome to another HPJ podcast. I'm your host, Harpie Player Joe. It is nice to finally get back onto the reins of things with the podcast because now that the podcast has moved over to the other channel, I can only say good things about it now at this point. I was very skeptical about moving it to the other channel, but considering the fact that no one was watching the podcast, I mean, I might as well have moved it over and just let it be a thing there. I always think that I wanted to put my podcast on my second channel because I just didn't really have the energy to deal with oh, well, I guess it's going to be seen or heard on the main channel. It was like, well, no one's watching it, so alright, fuck it, just move it to the next one. And I guess it's generally what I'm doing. I really just was going through so much at this period of time. I was just like, alright, fuck it. Just let it be what it is and just get it out. I'm also thinking of maybe doing more than one session for the podcast instead of just two. So if you see two uploads, then hey, I had the energy or the mindset to want to do two uploads a week instead of one. Now, when I get back to work in a few weeks, that might change. So do just know that I could potentially just go back to doing one or potentially do two instead, because the reason I started wanting to do these podcasts was just for, pick and show. But then after really sitting down and going through things and dealing with my mental health, I decided that maybe more than one is a good thing, and it might actually be useful, and I might actually enjoy, putting a lot of effort into this podcast than I thought I would. I don't give particular topics to my podcast because I don't really see the need to do that. I just simply want to sit in front of my podcast and in front of my phone, hit the record button, and just simply talk. And I think that is just what most things are. And some other podcasts do theirs different. I am not one of them. I just do and speak and go from there. So yeah, it's been very much that in terms of it. Now, in terms of everything else, there is a lot to talk about this week about what happened this last week because, oh boy, it's definitely been a week. So let's start off with what's going on with Sony and Sega because I think that's something people would like to hear me talk about. As a gamer and someone who has both had Sony and Sega product, because I am a Sonic fan, and well, I did own a PlayStation. Sega, and well, let's start off with Sony. Sony announced a couple of days ago that they're going to go full digital, instead of having physical um, CDs as of 2028. So you have about a good year and a half till Sony decides, hey, until Sony pulls the plug. It's already been said that the Dutch are getting ready to sue Sony because that's taking money out of people's pockets to just go straight digital. And I 100% agree with how the market of things are and the inflation rates of items. It's definitely one of those things where you say, wow, are you cutting corners again so that you cannot have to pay people to do their job? Because that's what it looks like. And it's not a hearsay. It's exactly what it is because now Sony's stocks have gone up and it's basically screamed to a lot of people, oh yeah, they're doing this for the money. Which they always have. Like, don't ever think a corporation is your friend because they're not your friend. And it's hilarious how this is going. It really is. And it also just shows you that, wow, yeah, they all just here for the money, honey. And once that whole situation came to the light, a lot more people start to address things that have been going on. And I agree, we should address a lot of this is going on because then not too long after, Sega over the weekend decided, well, we kind of just don't like how the sales have been going for for Sonic Racing Cross World. It only sold like 2 million copies within the last couple of months. Yeah, because the game has only been out for a couple of months and it's doing extremely well. So I don't understand. Where do you think where is all of this coming from? Is it because all the other Sega franchises that you try to revive have just hit an unfortunate plateau and there's nothing much you can do, or you screwed yourselves over by putting so much into Sonic that, just like Nintendo, your mascots aren't doing well because your mascots can't keep up with all the others that you now have put into the franchises. And it's like, my boy Sonic has always hit a rocky plateau with Sega because Sega doesn't know what it wants to do, because then half the team quits because no one can get along. So at a point, it's like, Sega, you pointing the finger, but the mirror needs to be pointed right back at the person who decided to open Pandora's box. And the same thing with Sony, because Sony, I don't understand. You need this money bad, but you're willing to cut corners to do it. And then you're wondering why people are like, well, I don't want to be Sony exclusive. I want to be multi-platform, because the tea was certainly piping hot after everything got talked about with Kingdom Hearts 4, and the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer being on Nintendo and not on Sony during the state of play. Because it seemed somebody didn't have full 100% faith in certain things earlier on and pissed a lot of people off. So my hypothesis is that when you give your full trailers to a whole nother corporation, that means the other corporations weren't worth your time, where they were really just pissing you the fuck off. And that's kind of what it seems like with Square, was that Sony finally showed them what they really had in hand, and they were not happy about it. So I completely understand why now they're like, well, here's Nintendo. They hadn't done us wrong, and the Pixel Remaster is doing great. So, the Pixel Remasters are doing great, especially 6. Because I went back to play 6, and I was like, holy shit, I forgot how beautiful this Pixel Remaster is. Which is sad, because remember, over a decade ago, Final Fantasy 5 and 6 didn't get their PSP treatment like 1, 2, 3, and 4 did. But they did get iOS and Android, and while some people did say that the iOS and Android versions are just really ugly, I actually am one of those who differ and say I love how beautiful the iOS and Android versions look. Maybe on the older phones where they initially started off were really ugly, but the newer phones played a lot of the graphics a lot more better. So I think it's basically a graphic issue which was never really resolved within the game, but more so resolved within how they look. I never purchased Actually, I did purchase one of the Final Fantasies and got my money back, because the Final Fantasy game that I did purchase was FF1. And when I looked at FF1, I was like, oh no, yeah, I'm good. Because FF1 did not play like I wanted it to play, which was how I played the PSP version, where they did switch up a lot of things to make it look a lot more better. But because I guess they wanted to give you that old school feeling of how the games originally played out, it was like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to play OG1, because OG1 made you rely on running back and forth to a shop or to an inn to revive. You had to waste so many resources on so many items, and I was just like, yeah, no, I'm good. No, I'm good. So that's eventually why I decided to just back away from it. Then on top of that was just everything else that panned out, which was pretty much it wasn't even longevity. It was just a long assortment of things that were just like, here's this thing, here's that thing, here's this thing, here's that thing. I was like, you know what? This is why you guys were in the archives, and why I really just did not touch a lot of stuff at that point when it came to the older versions of the Final Fantasy games. Because when I tried to play OG 1 and 2, 2 is a hot mess. 1 is basically a product of its time and how RPGs initially started at that point. 3 wasn't bad, but still relied heavily on the job system and things going through with the job system. 4, 5, and 6 definitely broke their mold of that whole job, needing the job system situation, but also pointing you in the direction of what characters can be what jobs, which I think 3 did, but meticulously 3's whole end game kind of just did not have a lot of people liking 3 at its end game, because fuck you, Crystal Tower. 4 was not too bad, and I think a lot of people enjoyed 4, which is why a lot of people said 4 was their favorite Final Fantasy, because remember, Final Fantasy in the US skipped 2 and 3 and went straight to 4. We didn't get 2 and 3 till about the 2000s, when they started moving things to the anthologies, and then because the anthologies was a hot mess, they decided to partner back up with Nintendo and then started to do the Game Boy Advance versions. Which, yes, despite the fact that screen crunch and sound chip issues of the GBA, which is funny because the GBA was playing these games like wildfire. I honestly think the Game Boy Advance versions of most of the Final Fantasy games were a lot better till you got to the PSP versions, which outstanded some of the Final Fantasy versions, until you realize that 5 and 6 didn't get the PSP treatment. So it makes sense that when you look at a game's longevity and how much they've evolved, and how companies look at that and how people handle their product, you're also like, well, damn, if you guys can't live up to the masses, I'm going to give you a piece of the pie, but I'm going to give the spectacles to the other company. And I think that's initially what ended up happening, because Square has always put Final Fantasy games primarily on either PC or on PlayStation. When they did start coming to the other consoles, people were like, well, I guess I'll give them a try because I never had a chance to play them. And now people are playing them. Especially when I think it was 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 2, and 12 ended up on Switch. And I think a lot of people who did not get a chance to play those games because they were strictly Nintendo finally got a chance to play those games. And then even more so now the newer generations are getting to play those older games. Plus they get the chance to play Remake. Plus they get the chance to play the variations of FF7 Remake's trilogy. On top of the fact that the pixel remasters have come out, so they get to enjoy basically modern variations of the older games. So shout outs to people who are actually playing these games and enjoying them, because guess what? You're learning the trials and tribulations, but the only real thing is that you have quick saves and you have suspend saves. We didn't have those when we were growing up until we got to the 2000s, where the game started having quick saves and stuff. So you got some leniency there, but as OG gamers, we know what the sacrifices be looking like. So then at that point, you look at how Sony is handling things, you're looking at Sega handling things, and it's like, well, Nintendo, you kind of should step your game up for this. And you should, because this is where you start trying to say, well, we're not going digital, we still have our cards. Even though your cards are basically just digital codes. To basically say, you can rent the game until we find something sketchy on your Switch. And then we don't want you to be using your Switch anymore. Primarily your Switch 2 and above. So, yeah, definitely gaming corporations, get your shit together. Because it's not looking too good for you. Then, let's also talk into Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Konami, the NAWCQ was this weekend. Sky Strikers won the event, going 18-0. There is probably a deck list up right now. I'm not too surprised that Sky Striker made it to. I'm surprised Striker won it, considering how all the other decks were. But then I'm not a competitive player, so I really don't know. I was just happy to hear Striker won. And the comment made by the winner was something even more funny, because he said it's not the deck, it's the player. And I was like, whoa. Oh, well, I mean, is he wrong? No. But it's something that has been anthologized throughout the years, is that people say it's the deck. It's like, no, because your $1,000 deck can't really always compare to a simple budget deck that legitimately just had a major reprint earlier in the year, where all the major components of the deck got reprinted. And even OCG imports got imported. So then when you look at it, it's like, homie was spitting facts and he was cooking, so let him cook. And he did cook by showing us they're going 18-0. So congratulations to him, and also just, food for thought. So then they also just released Glorious Victors, or Glorious Visitors, the next deck building set. I will have a video on that shortly. Just give me some time because I literally woke up and was like, saw the news. So I am still getting that together, but I will give you a full video on the new 3 archetypes that are coming to the game and what potential they could be in terms of it, because we did get some insight on that too. So this looks like it'll probably won't come to the TCG probably till next year, or maybe December or January. So by the end of this year till January of next year, give it some time there. But I love the artwork, which is one thing I can say. There's been a lot of good artwork in the deck building sets, but unfortunately, what Konami does with these archetypes tends to be the hit or miss. And I don't mind the deck building set because deck building sets tend to have a lot of good things coming to them, and even some take a little longer for them to start getting some lineage. So let's hope this one does some decency, because I think the last 2 we had, Razio and Malice, did extremely well, and then I forget what the other one was after that, but yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much it for Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. Puzzles and Dragons, I still have not done my Madoka Magica video. I'm waiting for that. I'm trying to build a Reinhardt team to get me through July 8th, but I'm having some difficulties. I've been on Reddit. Someone tried to help, but it was just like, you're not, like, they were explaining it, but it also was like, it made me feel like just go find another team, just process that, because I just don't, yeah. Like, my Reinhardt team has issues because I didn't roll things through the RNG guys wanted me to roll. And then looking at other teams, it's just like, yeah, I don't have that card, I don't have that card, I don't have those assists, I don't have that one. I guess I just built the team wrong. Ooh, sorry, that is extremely loud. Let me turn this down. Okay. And then I was just like, okay, well, since I don't have this, I don't have that, I might as well just try to figure something else out. And it was like, no, you have it, you just don't have this, and this, which is probably why I hate at times trying to play Puzzles and Dragons, because when you do have a really good leader that is in the Puzzles and Dragons meta game, which just still confuses me how there's a meta game, but alright. I guess if you're meta, if you can complete the later in dungeons without having too many difficulties, I guess that's what counts. I don't know. Someone explain Puzzles and Dragons meta to me, because I think I asked that once in the Reddit. I'll ask that again just to see the conversation, because I really just don't. It could be naivety. It could be I really just don't give a fuck, and I just want some direct answers, so then I don't sit here and look stupid sometimes. Because as someone who makes content, I don't like how when I relegate my content, it's like, well, what's the meta? How does this do against the meta? It's like, can I just play this shit casually and not have to worry about shit? I guess not. Alright. So yeah, that's kind of where I feel on that. And I really just wanted to do the Madoka Magic stuff, but I did just find out that the fairy stuff just came out today. The Plant Fairies event is running right now, which I thought it was going to run later this afternoon, but Gung Ho said, no, we're going to just run it this morning. So I do need 2 Rosettas for the team. I only have 1 Rosetta. Or I think I need 3 Rosettas. I'm not sure. People build these teams and then it's just like, I don't know anymore. It just confuses the fuck out of me. So I was like, alright, well, if I have the chance, I'll try to see if I can get it. There has been suggestions to not get the Rosetta bundle first. Get the bundle that's going to give you the 10 rolls, and then see if you roll the Rosetta. And then if you don't roll the Rosetta, then go purchase it if you can exchange for her, because she is exchangeable. One of the really good leaders for the Dark attribute is accessible. She's just locked behind needing and requiring particular cards to finish her stand-up. So yeah, that sucks. Outside of that, really, I played Pokemon Go this weekend. My friend sent me in to help play a game or two with them over, what was it? Oh, we were playing Pokemon Go. and we were playing. We were doing the raid battle for Mewtwo. So I have a Mewtwo Y. No, Mewtwo X, the fighting type Mewtwo Mega form, Mega Mewtwo X or Y, or the one that's the fighting type. I think that's an X, because Y is the one that's just pure psychic, which I think I have. Because I have a ton of Mewtwo over the years, because Mewtwo has practically been shoved into every game, because, first legendary Pokemon, right? Right. So, I have a couple of Mewtwo. Most of them are modest to timid nature. They have really good stats to them. They basically know the same move pool, because I did put the Side Striker on them, and then it's like Side Striker, either Aura Spear or Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, and then Recover. I know some people are like, that sounds pretty decent. I mean, yes, it's Mewtwo. Mewtwo competitive nature, I believe, is just really wherever Mewtwo wants this competitive nature to be. But if, Mewtwo wants to do what Mewtwo does, let Mewtwo do it. So, yeah, that's pretty much where I fall in line with that. Outside of that, really, I was just like, okay, well, I guess this is going to be my theme. So it just became my theme. And I didn't know I had Ultra Schisms. I thought I had Ultra. Alright, still works for me. But yeah, it was just like a whole bunch of stuff, and I was just like, alright, well, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So I kind of just went through the case with that. Outside of that, Digimon is starting to releasing information for BT26. That's cute. And then the set for Shambhala EX12 is out now. That's nice. It's not making me want to play Digimon anymore. And then speaking of which, I should bring this part of the conversation up, because my brother caught me the other day, because he has a car shop near where he lives now, and he's been really trying to get me to come out there to come play Digimon, or we'll just play card games with him. And it's like, that's nice. I just don't have the energy to want to play competitively. I don't. I don't have the energy, I don't have the mentality, I just don't have the drive. Now, if he wants to, he can go right ahead, and I'll just, help however I can. But I just don't have the energy to want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And be a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player at this current time. It just doesn't do it for me anymore. So it was just, I have to let him down gently with the conversation, but I think he'll understand by just basically saying, yeah, I just don't have a competitive bone in me anymore. I tried, and it was just like, I'm good. Look, as long as my deck functions, I think that's all that matters. And if anything, I'd rather be a guide for people to be okay with playing the deck that they play, rather than here's meta and talking about it and then getting bored because the meta shifts so much, and I just don't have the capacity to want to sit there and constantly figure this out and that out and all of that. So, yeah, that's pretty much where I stand on it. And kind of just went after the most recent event of me playing Digimon. It was just like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. Funny enough, I think the Digimon pre-release for BT26 is coming up shortly. So, that's the thing. And am I going to play in that? Nope. I do need a new deck box, though, because I just found out one of my deck boxes that carries cards in it is breaking. Actually, there's 3 deck boxes, 3 to 4 of them that I want to replace. They're not going to be pretty pennies. So, yeah. Those are just the ones that I need to recover. It's a green Ultra Pro, a blue Ultra Pro, a black Ultra Pro, because they don't have enough card space for me. These are like older deck boxes I had back in like when Ultra Pro and then wanted to keep up with all the people who are making their own deck boxes, like Pyramid Gaming, Nana Moon, and Gem Accessories, which is where I can go get those, but they're going to cost a lot more. So it is going to take a minute. My locals have some deck boxes that looked really nice, but they're in the range of like $20 to $30, which is acceptable for a good price range for a good deck box. Because the most I would pay for a deck box is maybe is about $30. In the range of 30, but that also means if you accumulate it without taxes, that's at least $100 and so if I am to accumulate. So maybe trying to drop it to a lower price, but yeah. that's pretty much about it in terms of just like the overhaul itself. I am going to be picking up cards this week. I am going to finally hit the procedure to get my stuff from eBay as well as TCG Player. So I just need to rack up everything right now because I'm sure in a couple of hours my check will hit. And then I will be hitting the buttons to let some of this stuff get cashed out. So I'm about to spend about maybe 150 on cards. Most of this is because the OCG, but I will be looking through my eBay. I will be looking through my TCG Player once again because the most important cards are the ones that I'll be putting into the box, and hopefully they don't have to come from out far. If they have to, then within the 2-week period is when I think they'll show up, which will be fine. But I need to get the last of the cards for Shadal. I need to get the last of the cards for only one card particularly. I need to get a couple of cards actually I need to get for Fire King because I did not have them. So then people don't bitch about it in the comment section like they did before. By the way, those comments have been removed and I have replaced them with basically saying, I know particular cards are not here. Please stop going into the comment section being upset because they're not here. If you have not watched the video where I talked about these cards not being here, then understand that why these cards are not here. But if you want to put them into your deck, you're more than welcome to. And I hate that I have to constantly always do that when I make a deck profile, because I always do. I haven't really checked any of my stuff at this moment because I've been particularly busy with everything else. So it is what it is. Outside of that, really, I've just been enjoying these last couple of weeks because I will be going back to work soon, which I'll have an update about that. I have another update video coming up as well, which I won't spoil much in that, but it's probably just a recap of things that have been going on within the last couple of weeks and what new changes will be happening within the next couple of months prior going into things. So you'll probably see less content, but you'll see probably more podcasts if that's anything, because I am really enjoying making podcasts instead of just sitting here rushing through deck profiles and stuff. So, yay! Alright, outside of that, is there anything else that I need to address? No, that's it. That's pretty much it. Anything recently? No. Still trying to, I do have Link to the Past in the background. I am trying to finish that up. I'm enjoying Tomodachi Life. I haven't played Tomodachi Life since yesterday. No, since Saturday. I need to check up on it because I think one of my couples is going to have another baby. And hopefully there's not another couple that got a divorce because, damn, that one hit hard. And then the Miis are not speaking to each other like at all. I can't even get them to like have a casual conversation. It's just like, oh, it was that bad. So, yeah. And then that's pretty much it. So the only major events that are going on I know so far, the charity room is having their in-person event at the end of the month. Check my socials for updates or go to the charity room socials and check on them for their updates. And that's pretty much about it. That's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys had a lot of fun too. If there's any other things that are coming up, I will most likely try to post them as soon as I can. But it really just seems like it's going to be a very short video for this podcast session. And that's not a bad thing. Like, if a podcast session is short, that means there really wasn't much that I wanted to put the investments into. It's perfectly fine. Hold on, maybe I can stretch for another 15 minutes. Is there anything? I guess not. Just that I am trying to finish up the last couple of games. Link to the Past. Play some Wind Waker. Play some more Tomodachi. I've been playing a lot more Animal Crossing too. I did organize some of the stuff in my Animal Crossing, which is good. Yeah, that's about it. Okay, so I can stretch for another 15 minutes. Well, okay, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I'm going to go get up to the shower and probably get ready to see if things change on later. Alright, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can hit up my main channel for main channel stuff, and I will be dropping on the main channel the 3-in-1 deck building set for glorious visitors. Alright, everybody. HPJ signing out. Bye-bye. Take care.